Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, the entire Democrat, basically, caucus in Congress literally bent the knee to George Floyd and to Black Lives Matter. They quite literally did that.
And that was a bad thing?
I think it was a stupid thing. I think assimilation is not just a great thing, it's a necessary thing. No society can hold together where people have nothing in common, they don't speak the same language, they don't practice the same things. And, you may look at something like just food habits or what you eat and think that's fairly frivolous. But the truth of the matter is that on a broader level, when we're talking about more big picture things, differences in race, culture, religion, all these things, people have fought wars, violent wars, killed each other over these things for thousands of years. If America is to hold together, assimilation, not just good or bad, necessary. I don't think it's going to be possible for America to survive as a stable, functioning society if people don't, to some degree, say, well, here's what we're going to commonly agree upon.
But who gets to choose it?
The majority culture, I suppose.
And what's majority culture?
The people with power.
And who's people with power?
People with power.
White people.
Well, I don't know if that's...
I'm gonna say it.
Yeah.
White people. It's okay.
I don't know if that's necessarily so true. I mean,
Wait, can you unpack? Yeah.
I don't think a particular...
Yeah, I don't think that's true at all, man. The white people are in power. I think white people are the majority. Could they be in power? Yeah, they could be, man. They could be. But I think white people are more concerned with taking a knee, like he ends up saying in a minute, you'll hear him. They end up taking a knee. They end up pandering to minority communities because, again, man, they don't want to be seen as being racist. So they end up taking a knee. They end up pandering to other people. And, again, a person of color can scream, racism. And white people, man, think I'm running over. Oh, are you being discriminated against? Who was discriminating against you, man? We're good white people. They want to be seen as the good guys. They're more concerned about virtue signaling instead of actually being virtuous. So again, they run over, man. They want to be seen as one of the good guys. And unfortunately, man, I think that's wrong. Because again, people need to. I think people are going to take advantage, and I think it's happening, man. People are taking advantage of other people because, again, white people, they can be controlled by the R word. They can be controlled, with, racism, you're racist, or that's racist, or whatever. And again, white people, man, they don't want to be seen as being racist, man. So they'll run over. So, yeah, do I think majorities in culture normally dictate things? Yeah, I think normally. But I think in this case, man, I think white people have, in some ways, just kind of turned things over and said, you know what, we don't want to be seen as racist, so we'll agree to whatever.
White quote-unquote interest controls things like
in America.
Pop culture.
Do you believe white supremacy exists?
I think there are people who believe in it. I think there's people who all believe that their race is superior.
So you don't believe in white supremacy?
Do you believe America is a white supremacist state?
No, not at all.
And not found.
No white supremacist state would even allow us to be doing this. I don't understand. So white supremacists, there's KKK people walking.
Yeah, I gotta agree with them right here too, because, again, man, if we lived in a white supremacist state, again, you would see, the KKK police marching. I mean, again, man, they're not. People can say what they want to say. As a matter of fact, people can say things against white people more than any other group of people. I mean, really. And people are okay with that. Even white people are okay with that for the most part. Even white people are like, you know what? White people are bad. White people are this. White people are that. I totally agree. I totally agree that white people are the problem. Whiteness is the problem. So, but again, man, you don't see that in other groups so much. So, again, do we live in a white supremacist country? No, man, because if you did, You couldn't even speak about whatever. You couldn't even say things. But the fact of the matter is, you can say stuff. As a matter of fact, most people, white people included, will applaud you for standing up there and saying whatever against white people, whatever against whiteness, whatever. People applaud you. They're fine with it. You know, but white people, man, they're either fine with it, happy about it, or they ignore it and turn away. And, you know, so I will say, yeah, we definitely don't live in a white supremacist state.
I go around New York City, I notice that, like, I guess Brooklyn a little bit different. Most of the people here are not white, and they're doing their thing. So I don't understand.
What does doing their thing mean to you?
Going to work.
Are they making the same amount of money? Are they getting the same access to opportunities?
I think they're getting great access to opportunity.
Please unpack it. Are they equivalent? Are communities and communities that are leading culture, to your point, because you pointed to popular culture as something where, in your view, white people don't have the power, when the reality is it is the white executives who are profiting off of and exploiting predominantly black and brown bodies for their financial gain to then parade to us and tell us that we're thriving, when the reality is it is women of color, and it is black folks, and it is Asian American folks, and it is Hispanic folks, and it is people from marginalized communities who are disproportionately being impacted by every adverse thing that society is facing, while the few at the top who don't represent our communities are profiting. There are massive disparities based on race, based on class, based on gender, based on all of these things that shouldn't exist.
Well, nobody denies that there's disparities or that.
Well, let's have Vince respond.
Or that, I think the question is, do they exist because of supposed white supremacy? And when I look at the fact that, you know, virtually every corporation and institution bends the knee to diversity, celebrates every single Heritage Month, you know, has all these programs, every single one toe the line for Black Lives Matter. I don't look at that and say, I don't look at that and say conservative white people are in power in this country. As a matter of fact, I'd argue to a large extent, you can talk about, you know, what race or whatever people are, but is like a supposedly conservative white interest in power in America. I would honestly say I think it's the opposite of that.
I want to clarify one thing. You can be liberal and still a white supremacist, right?
Yes.
Like, I would be very clear,
Absolutely.
right? That it doesn't necessarily mean conservative white power is the predominant folks in power. I think it could span a lot of political ideologies and still have these things embedded in how you govern and how you lead and how you make decisions. However, when you talk about bending the knee, that is a wild way, I think, to look at society finally trying in some ways to right the wrongs of its
It's not so
ills.
wild. I mean, even like your supposedly white politicians, you look at what they did in 2020, they quite literally bent the knee. Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, the entire Democrat basically caucus in Congress literally bent the knee to George Floyd and to Black Lives Matter. Like, they quite literally did that.
And that was a bad thing?
I think it was a stupid thing. I think it was just ridiculous pandering to a terrorist movement ran by.
Black lives do not matter?
I do think that Black Lives Matter. I don't support the movement known as Black Lives Matter.
Do you ever say all lives matter?
Of course. As a Christian, I absolutely believe
all lives matter.
All lives do matter. All lives matter. White lives, black lives, Hispanic lives, Asian lives, man, all lives matter. All do. And to say that like it's some kind of a bad thing to say. I mean, you know, come on, man. Come on. But, you know, these people, they drink the Kool-Aid, man. They're asleep at the wheel. They are asleep at the wheel. And they don't even know it. Man, they don't even know where they're going. They don't know if they're driving. They don't know. But yeah, I mean, you know, yeah, I think it was ridiculous too, man. You know, again, the politicians, man, they're taking a knee to whatever. I mean, the companies are, man, you know, these big companies, man, these big, you know, they're taking a knee to wokeness, you know. It's like, man, that stuff is not helpful.
So I guess to try to understand the conflict here that you guys are having, what role do you think Asian Americans have as far as the larger injustices and racism that this country has exhibited and has pushed it forward in the 200 years prior to even our arrival? But I guess the easiest way to make it something to talk about is the concept of the model minority myth. When you hear that word, what does it mean to you?
So the model minority myth, you know, after World War II, they used us to separate other
people of color. They used our race to say that we were the best race, that we were the model minority because we were the smartest, we got the best jobs, we did these things, and we were able to assimilate to what their idea of what they wanted. They wanted an example to use of people of color that they could then use against all the other people of color. And what they also did is they caused infighting between our communities so that we wouldn't look at the actual problem, which was white supremacy. When I think of the model minority myth, I grew up wanting to be white. I fucking hate that about myself. Like, it is so embarrassing.
Okay, so statistically, it is true that Asians, right, on average, make more money, in terms of medium, make more money, better test scores, get into better colleges, all that stuff. I think the question is, why is that? And I don't know, model minority, whatever that label wants to mean.
That's actually a myth because we cannot be...
Well, no, listen. Well, let me finish my point. We need to observe what makes people successful and unsuccessful. And I think when you look at trends that are generally true in the Asian community, not of everyone, but are generally true, usually you have families that are sticking together. You have, people are taught to work hard in school, not get into trouble. I think that translates to why Asians en masse are successful. And I don't think you have to be Asian or white for that matter to not have kids out of wedlock, not, commit crime, not cause trouble, whatever it is. It's just a matter of common sense. That's what makes people successful. And if that's so-called assimilation, having a nuclear family, buying a house, going to school, whatever it is, then yeah, okay, call me a pro-assimilation then.
I think there's a difference between...
He's 100% correct. And look at the faces, man, of those kids on that panel. I mean, they couldn't believe it. It's like, how dare you speak the truth on something? Man, how dare you say that people that come from families with moms and dads, that kids that don't come out of wedlock, with moms and dads in the home that value things like education, that value things like not getting into trouble, doing the best you can, going after what you want, furthering your education, bettering yourself in some way. But again, man, we understand that the people from better communities that have money, that are part of communities that have more money, no matter what color they are, they tend to have those. Those are the things they tend to have. Both parents in the household, they tend to stay out of trouble. They tend to further their education. They tend to go after things. They tend to build businesses. They tend to... But again, man, and we know that people from poor communities, it doesn't matter what color they are, they tend to have higher rates of single motherhood. They have higher rates of drug use, of alcohol use, of whatever. And we know these things. We understand them. We know that you know what? A real good predictor of success is going to be whether or not you have both parents in the house. We know that. We also know that if you're raised by a single parent, normally a mother, you have a much higher chance of being imprisoned. A much higher chance. And we know this. We understand that, man. I think right about 3/4, right about 75% of people that are in prison came from families with only one parent, normally a single mother. We know this. With stats. We know that. And again, man, so if you want to aspire to become better and you want to aspire for your kids to become better, man, that's the road you take. That's the road you take because, man, we know the way to success. We do. We know. Man, if you're taking drugs, getting in trouble, education is a low priority. If that's the way things are, well, yeah, that's the wrong path, man. We understand that. We get that. But again, man, that's not being talked about. And, these people, man, these kids, they couldn't believe that he had the gall to say the truth. But look, guys, if you would, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Thanks. You son of a.